Alright, YouTube, I'm back. Today's YouTube video is going to be a sex game video, and this one's going to be about how to pump and dump your job. I've got a request from Zach Deloney on YouTube because he don't like his job, and he would like for someone to give him not one, but a series of reasons on when is it okay to pump and dump your job and when is it not okay to pump and dump your job. I've only been in the job world for about 3 years, so I got some experience to qualify to break down the math and science on why some people after 2 or 3 years or even 5 years on the job just want out and go some new place. So part one of this video, because you know when I make a series of videos, I just can't make 1 or 2 videos and then the subject's over. I have to at least make 3 or 4, sometimes 5 videos of a subject, because depending how big the subject is, the more videos. How small the subject is, not too many videos. So this is only part 1 of Sex Game, people who hate their job, how to pump and dump their job. Now, when you get a job, 99.99999% of the time, you're just there to work. You know, they don't like you talking and socializing. And it doesn't matter if you work at McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box, Foot Locker. Doesn't matter if you work at the shoe store that I work at. Rules is rules, right is right, wrong is wrong. Now, there comes a time when you've been on a job for so long and you feel like there's something missing from your life. Whether it may be, well, every time I try to do something, I always get in trouble. Now, there's 2 types of people in the job force. There are alpha males and there are beta males. Beta males, you see them every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And what's the one thing they mostly have in common? They bitch and complain about how they hate their job. You know, my life sucks. You know, I don't get the luxury to go to the movies or the mall like everybody else does. Or I'm tired of seeing everybody else have a relationship. You know, people got boyfriends and girlfriends and they get to hold hands and everyone gets to have fun at work except for me. There is a further explanation. There is a logical reason to why you are the only one that's not having no fun and everyone else is. And that's because you haven't realized what I have realized. You know how they say the worst monster of all is the one you look in the mirror? Sometimes you have to be willing to take a look in that mirror, and I know it's scary, and I know it's scary as a son of a bitch. Sometimes you got to take a look in the mirror and take one good hard look at yourself and realize it ain't entirely all these other people that's the problem. It's you that's the problem. And when you come to that realization, it is terrifying because you may think it's other people's fault, but in reality, it's your fault. It took me a while to understand that. Now, it may suck that 50 or 60% of your coworkers can have fun, but you can't. Now, let's look at why people hate their jobs. Now, the first reason is I can't do what I want to do. Now, no job in the world is going to ever let you do what you want to do. If I can't, holler at a girl at my job, a certain particular girl at my job, they're not going to let you. They're not going to let you come to work and smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. They're not going to let you dress and wear your favorite cool clothes. They're not going to let you do that because that's not what a job's for. A job's is for you to seek the means of employment and make money. That's what you're there for. A lot of us get into trouble. Don't feel bad. I'm the best at what I do, and I get in trouble. Now, let's talk about why people hate their jobs. That's the first reason. I can't do what I want to do. Number 2, they love to fuck with me. About 90% of the time when you're at work, you always got some manager, assistant manager, supervisor, assistant supervisor, and leaders who love to fuck with people because they get off on the power and the control, and they're miserable. That's the best answer I can give you is they're one miserable son of a bitch. Because when you come to work, they may look at you in a different light. Oh, he's always smiling. He's always having fun. He thinks this is a game. He thinks this is a joke. He's never serious. He's never taking the job serious like I do. A lot of times they don't like when you come to work smiling and you're always happy and you're full of energy and full of life. Sometimes they don't like that bullshit. Sometimes they want you to be as miserable as they are so you can know what it feels like to be miserable. Sometimes it could be a woman you find physically sexually attractive. A girl you just have the hots for. And for every reason she's always angry and upset. You talk to her, she give you attitude. She go talk to 5 other guys. She's laughing, she's smiling, she's happy. But only with you, she's an angry, evil bitch. Okay, there's an answer to that too. Now, I already made a YouTube video about that, but I guess I'm going to reiterate it into this video. Sometimes in life, not everybody at work likes you or respects you. You're going to get more people on a job disrespecting you than respecting you. Take me for an example. When I go to work, I don't think everybody at work respects me. I don't think everybody at work likes me either. And as an asshole, as an honest asshole, like Stone Cold Steve Austin used to say in professional wrestling before they had to, calm down on the profanity language, Stone Cold could say it backstage or outside. But like Stone Cold, I don't give a fuck. Because what you have to understand is a lot of these people have problems outside of work. My problems and your problems, they're like mediocre. I need to pay my bills. I need to wash clothes. And their problems are probably extreme problems. And they don't think you understand what they go through. So I don't think everyone likes Alexander Odin at work. And I don't think everybody respects Alexander. And I'm perfectly just fine if there's some people who hates my fucking guts. I'm perfectly fine with it. Because 10 years from now or 15 or 20 years from now, you're going to run into those same individuals that either like you or hate your fucking guts. And what's going to happen is they're going to finally look at you and say, I gave you one hard-ass time back in the day and I didn't realize how much stress I put on you at work. They're either going to say that or they're going to say, I've never actually liked you. I've never liked you. I've never really liked you as a person. You're going to get that. And you're going to be like, well, I ain't never said or done nothing to this person. And like my dad told me 15, 20 damn times until pigs can fly into outer space, you ain't gotta say nothing. You don't have to do nothing to nobody for someone to say, I hate your fucking guts. They just hate you because they hate you. Then when there are times where they do have reasons for hating you, they're usually stupid reasons. They're not logical. And then there are reasons that are logical, they just don't fucking like you. Well, you got a nice car and I have to take the bus and the train. There are times where I take the bus and the train and I'm still a hated asshole. People might say, Alex, you're not an asshole. Actually, yes, I am like an asshole. I'm like the character from the television House. The only time people want something from me or can get something from me is if it's a serious emergency or people just feel like they can get something from me and once they get it, that's it. And then when I tell them no, then I'm an asshole. And I'm fine being called an asshole because sometimes I have to make it clear to people that you don't get something from me and then continue to disrespect. Either you're going to respect me or you're going to disrespect me and stop being two-faced. Now that I explained that part of the problem, let's talk about women who pick certain guys to be cool with and guys they treat like shit. Women in the job world are just like women in high school and college. I want to say it again. Women at work are just like women in high school and college. They find the men that they find physically, sexually attractive, and the men that they don't find physically, sexually attractive, they throw away in the friend zone. Now, some women will agree with this. Some women will disagree and say it's bullshit. And like an asshole, I don't give a fuck. Because it's my video, my channel, and it's my way of expressing myself. Yeah, it's raw, it's uncensored, and it's uncut, straight in your face, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. The reason why people love Stone Cold Steve Austin's professional wrestling character is because he stands up to his boss. And he tells his boss, I'm not going to take no shit. Now, if I do that or you do that, there's a consequence. It's called you're going to get fired and you're not going to have no employment. And when you go to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And you can't just walk up to your boss and tell your boss, whether it's a man or a woman, black or white, young or old, go fuck yourself. Because if you do, you lose your job. And then it could take you 5 years, it could take you 10 years, 15 years before somebody thinks twice about giving you a job. And when you think about it, it always comes up in the conversation why it took you such a long time to get a new job. And when they look into your history of employment, they're going to find out you like to use profanity language, you like to cuss out your boss, you like to use fear and intimidation. And then guess what? That's not good to be in a working atmosphere. Take me for an example. I get accused of a lot of shit that I don't do at work. I get told, well, you got to talk to the customers a certain way because the customers have feelings and emotions, which they're absolutely correct, but I also have feelings and emotions. But never mind, I'm a security guard and I don't matter. Let's talk about people who feel like nobody cares about you at work. A lot of times, the reason why they don't care about you at work is because that's not what their number one priority is. Their number one priority is to make money by any means necessary. If I have to stab another person in the back to make the money, I'm going to do it. If I have to go make lies and rumors about you at work to make money, I'm going to do whatever is necessary. It's survival of the fittest. It is a competitive environment. And only the strong survives and the weak perish and dies. And that's the mentality 90% of the time they have at work, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And they don't care if you got problems outside of work. They honestly don't care. They'll say, oh, I'm sorry, or you poor thing. They say that because in life and in society, you're told to say, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry to hear that, or you poor thing. You're told to say that. Because what they really want to say to you, they can't say it because it's rude and disrespectful, and they know it can hurt your feelings, and it might start a physical altercation. So they have to find nice ways to communicate to you. It's bad, but I got situations too, and nobody feels sorry for me. So you're going to get more people saying, I can't feel sorry for you because no one feels sorry for me, which I like to call the cycle of hate and pain, because it's a cycle of hate and it's a cycle of pain. Now, just because the first 3 to 5 years that you're on your first job, that nobody really gives a fuck, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. That's actually the beginning of the world. Because what you're going to find out is when those people quit and they get new jobs, they bring in new people. And sometimes the new people might realize this guy's been here for 2 years, 3 years, and nobody shows this guy no respect. But here's a guy that's only been here for 3 months or 6 months, and he gets all the respect in the world. And some people might say, well, you're not a good worker. You don't work hard enough. And the reality is you could probably be the best damn worker and still get ignored. A lot of times I like to compare women to jobs. A woman might see that you go to the gym, and she might see that you do cardio, you do weight training, you come to the gym 2 times a week, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and you do that for 7 months, 8, 9, 10 months, you go to the gym. And you put in all that work, all that time, all that effort, and she overlooks it. Well, the same thing with a job. The job does the same bullshit. But here comes a man or a woman. Doesn't matter if they're young or old, black or white. That comes in, and in a short period of time, they do the same amount of work you do, and it gets praise. It gets national attention. I like to use the concept of the television show The Flash. Most men who get ignored by their job and by women, they're the reverse Flash. I'm smart, I'm intelligent, but women don't notice me. And the Flash gets everyone's attention. He gets national attention. He gets national praise. He is the hero of the city. And you got some people at your jobs that are like that, where this person only been here for 6 months and they get all the special treatment. They can come to work anytime they want, morning, afternoon, and daytime. And you get told, your punk ass got to work at night. And you be like, but I always work at night. You either work at night or you ain't got no job. And just like that, you shut up because they told you what the bottom line is. You get told to work on weekends. But I've been working on weekends for 2 years. You work on weekends or you ain't got no job. That's what you get told 90% of the time. And then even if you request for time off, they might look at that suspicious. Like, why is this person trying to take some time off? But the other guy who hasn't been around as long as you has, he can take time off whenever you want, and they don't hold no grudge against him. But when you do something, there's a grudge. So most men are reverse Flash. You know, the evil supervillain that took something away from Barry Allen the Flash. And all the guys that get all the special privileges are Flash. You know, they get the national attention, people praise, people like this person. And you're gonna feel just like that at work. Trust me, you're gonna wish that when you get a job, you're gonna wish that none of these things were true that I'm saying, and they are. Now let's talk about the frustration of working and feeling like a ghost. You see, the reason why they make you feel like a ghost is because they have the power and the control. And you see, a lot of times the managers, the supervisors, the assistant supervisors, the assistant managers, and the team leaders, they're one miserable son of a bitch. Because when they go home, they don't get no attention. When they go home, nobody sees them. So when they come to work, that's the time that they can feel like they're very special and important. Everybody wants to feel special and important. And the only way they can get that is at work. And they see you always smiling, always in happy spirits. Well, they got to do something to give you a reality check. Now, you may not like that reality check, but at some point they have to give you a reality check because and here's something that you have to understand. People who get a job in 6 months and they get special treatment right off the back, they're doomed to fail ultimately. I'm going to tell you why they're doomed to fail. Because if someone gets a job in the first 3 to 6 months and they get more respect and more attention and you've been there for a year or 2 years, they're doomed to fail. Because at some point they're going to make mistakes and eventually those mistakes are going to catch up with them, and then ultimately they either quit when they see they're not getting the special treatment, or they finally get put in the same predicament you get put in. Why you still don't get no attention and no respect, and he or she is still getting all the attention, they're doomed to fail. A prime example of this is sports. You can always tell that the person who gets the attention first ultimately fails. And a person who receives very little to no attention whatsoever always succeed. Look at someone like Dwayne Wade, the professional basketball player, 3-time NBA champion, right? Played on the Miami Heat his whole entire basketball career. I mean, of course, there was him going to to another team because the owner, or should I say the general manager, didn't want to give him his money. But the point was, for like 13, 14 NBA seasons, Dwayne Wade was the first man in the gym. Dwayne Wade was the last person to leave the gym. Strong work ethic. In the NBA draft of 2003 or in 2004, LeBron James was the number 1 draft pick. Carmelo Anthony was the number 2 draft pick, and Dwayne Wade was number 3. No one, and I mean no one, cared about Dwayne Wade, period. All the national attention and praise was on LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony for the first 5 NBA seasons. And it wasn't until Dwayne Wade tried to take a struggling Miami's team in the 2004-2005 NBA playoff season to the playoffs without no help. And the person who saw that was Shaquille O'Neal. So Shaq decided to help, Dwayne Wade win his first NBA championship in 2006. LeBron James went through year after year losing in the playoffs. Got all the attention, kept losing every single year. Carmelo Anthony got all the attention, but kept losing every single year. So the person who always gets the national praise and the attention first is doomed to fail. It may take 6 months, it might take 9 months, it might take a year or 2 years later, but eventually they fail. And the person who gets very little to no attention whatsoever ultimately succeed. Now, the reality is you might be on a job for 3 years or 5 years, worst case scenario, 7 years, and then you just up and leave and go get a new job, and then people be shocked that you left. And sometimes when you leave, they don't really give a fuck if you leave and go get a new job. Wow, he got a new job. Wow, good wins. We never liked him. You'll get that reaction. And then sometimes you get this reaction. I don't know, why would someone just up and leave? A lot of times it has something to do with not getting no respect for putting in the work. You know, when guys see that they can't talk to the women that they want to talk to at work, and they can't have no fun, or they can't express themselves, or every time they see something wrong that some other employee at work does and they can't call that out, a lot of times that makes you up and leave and want to get a new job because you're tired of the level of disrespect. And a lot of the managers, you know, supervisors, general managers of these jobs and corporations, it ain't until 5 years later, or maybe 10 or 15 years later, that they realize that some of the things they did were rude and disrespectful. But that's when you're long gone. It ain't when you're still working. Usually when you retire from a job 15 years later, 20, or even 25 years after you've been retired, for whatever reasons, explained or not explained, here comes all the respect and all the admiration. Think of some of the athletes who never get no credit their whole entire career. You play basketball 10, 15 years in the NBA, like Charles Barkley, and it ain't until you retire that people say, yeah, Charles Barkley was a great basketball player. But it took him to retire to get that. Same thing if you were in football. You got plenty of football players that were great in their NFL career, like Dan Marino. But who gave a fuck about Dan Marino when he was playing for 17 years? It's not until 20 years after he retires that people go, yeah, Dan Marino should have won a Super Bowl. Now you see how rude and disrespectful that bullshit is to do to another person? Why, you get someone like Kobe Bryant. From the time Kobe came in, he was hated. But until Kobe got into his 30s and matured, you saw the respect come real fast. Even up until his retirement, again, there goes the respect. So I'm explaining in part one some history of why people hate their jobs. Now in part two, we're going to talk about why does the woman choose a guy who she likes over a guy that she could like, but then again, she ain't really that interested. Because a lot of guys get upset when they get hit on by women at work, and then they find themselves in the H&R's office, and then they're wondering, why is it when this other guy talks to her and makes inappropriate jokes, he never gets in trouble? When I do it, I get in trouble. There is bias. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of these jobs, a lot of these motherfuckers are racist, and they are biased. One or the other, sometimes a little bit of both. In part two, we'll talk about the bias that women do at work towards men, and why some men years later continue to use that against the woman, or how can you use that to make you a better person. Until then, peace.